Hello guys, and welcome to another video by Muscle Mutant. Good morning or good evening wherever you are in this world. In this video I'll continue discussing and analyzing the great win of William Bonac in 2018 Arnold Classic, defeating the Blade Dexter Jackson, who finished second, and Cedric McMillan, who finished third. In the last video, I fully analyzed William Bonac against the Blade Dexter Jackson, and in this video we will see how William Bonac fared against the third place winner, Mr. Cedric McMillan. Now, as we all know, Cedric McMillan won the 2017 Arnold Classic, and back then he defeated the late Dallas McCarver. And I'm not taking anything away from Cedric McMillan, but honestly, he didn't have a real challenge back then. Dallas McCarver wasn't out of oven yet, and as we know, he was still fresh, he was still new in the sport. Back then, in the 2017 Arnold Classic, we didn't see Dexter Jackson, we didn't see William Bonac, we didn't see Big Ramy, we didn't see any of these powerhouses, these heavy hitters. So Cedric McMillan won that contest, but this year, when he came back to defend his title against Dexter Jackson and William Bonac, he failed to do so. He finished third, and he was defeated by Bonac and Dexter. Let's take a look at the first pose here, the front double biceps. As we can see, if we start with Cedric here, he looks good in this pose. However, I personally do not like the shape of his biceps. He doesn't have the peak other bodybuilders have. Yes, granted, his arms are huge, but he doesn't have the peak in the biceps. And if you notice the peak in Bonac's biceps, you don't see the same peak in Cedric's biceps. To me, they are not aesthetic. Yes, they are huge. They connect well with the triceps, but they lack the peak. He hits the V shape in this pose, and as we can see, his lats look really cool in this pose, and they connect perfectly with his midsection. I am not a huge fan of his abs or his midsection, but at least he didn't have any symptom of a bubble gut or a bloated stomach like Dexter had this year on the Arnold Classic stage. His chest looks fine, but we will see later on that he has gyno. Just in a couple of shots, I'll just draw your attention to the fact that he has gyno, and we will see that clearly in other shots in a minute. His wheels are impressive. Cedric always had great wheels, but actually when you put him in comparison with Mr. Bonac, you see that Bonac's wheels are even more huge and way more defined, separated, and crisp overall than those of Cedric. I am not a huge fan of his calves either. Yes, they are pumped, but they are not as extended nor as defined or separated as those of Bonac. So overall, yeah, just good pose. The front double biceps is good for Cedric, but not as good as he was in the 2017, and definitely not as good as he was when he fared or competed in the 2015 Arnold Classic Brazil and finished second to Big Ramy. I've made a video about that contest, and I leave an annotation in the end of this video for you guys to check it. So Mr. Bonac here looks really awesome. He looks really good in this front double biceps pose. The biceps look really great. The peak is there. They connect perfectly with the triceps. The chest looks great. Granted, he is not as wide as Cedric. Cedric is wider when it comes to the chest and the shoulders, and this is no secret. Yet his chest, as we will see later on, is way more defined, way more cut, way more crisp in a way or another than that of Cedric. His lats are good. Maybe he is not as wide when it comes to the lats. He is not as wide as Cedric, and honestly speaking, I don't think that the back area is one of Bonac's powerful points. He doesn't have a great back, for example, not as wide as that, for example, of Big Ramy, and not as cut as that of or as defined as that of Phil Heath, for example. So I think that William Bonac needs to work more on his back, but probably the structure of his body doesn't allow him to get bigger or wider. This is something we can't blame him for, right? As we can't, for example, blame Phil Heath for not having a wide chest. This is his structure. He can't do anything about it. So in general, William Bonac is not as wide as Cedric. But yet his V shape is there. He hits a great front double biceps, and his lats connects perfectly with his midsection, and his midsection looks really great in this shot. Look at the abs, the cuts, the separations. They are highly detailed. But as I said in my video of Bonac against Dexter, Bonac can work more on showing more cuts and separations in his midsection, because he has all the potential, and we will see that when he hits the abs and thighs. The abs are there, but they are not as cut or as detailed as they should be in comparison with his great wheels, for example, and the striations he has in this muscular area. His wheels, as I said in my previous video, his wheels are awesome. The thighs or the quads are awesome with all the details, the separation and the striations there. Definitely more huge, clearly more huge and bigger and way more developed than those of Cedric. His calves as well. His calves are explosive, great calves. Mr. William Bonac has great calves, clearly better than those of Cedric. So overall, I give this pose to William Bonac over Cedric. Overall, as we can see, William Bonac is more cut, more detailed. His physique, I mean, is more cut, more detailed, and more crisp. Okay, more crisp than that of Cedric McMillan, who couldn't achieve that high level or necessary level of definition and cut to defeat the likes of William Bonac in this competition. Let's move on to see the front lat spread. Front lat spread in this pose. Cedric always had a good front lat spread. His lat is wide, and he hits this pose very well. And actually, he is wider than Bonac, and this is no secret, as I said, because Bonac is not wide when it comes to his upper structure or upper physique. His shoulders, his chest, and his lats are not as wide as those or as the rest of the bodybuilders who are known for having wide lats or wide shoulders. So in this pose, if we want to talk about the lats, yes, Cedric lats are wider than those of Bonac. His shoulders are wide, and his chest, Cedric chest, looks really good in this pose. Complete, defined, cut, and we can see the striations as well. Maybe the light here plays a good role in showing some of the details of his chest stands by his side, because we don't see these striations in the side chest pose. Anyway, in this pose he looks really good. I am not, as I've just said, I am not a fan of his abs. They don't look good in this pose. His abs look like, you know, distorted in a way or another. Yes, they are cut and separated, but he still has some water, retaining water in that area. And as I've just said, in general, he didn't achieve that high level of definition, separation, and crisp look that William Bonac had in this competition. And this is actually a problem for Cedric. You rarely see him highly detailed or highly defined or crisp. Probably that was in 2015 against Big Ramy on the Arnold Classic Brazil stage. Yes, he was crisp back then. He was highly detailed, and he was more huge than he was on the 2018 Arnold Classic stage. I mean, this year. So he is not that cut. He is not that highly detailed. Yet this pose is okay. His wheels, well, are fine. I mean, like, yes, the definition is there, the separation is there, the muscular groups, the quads are clearly developed, but definitely not as developed or separated or defined as those of Mr. Bonac. His calves are okay, just nothing special to me, especially in comparison with those of Bonac. Mr. Bonac, on the other hand, I am not a huge fan of his front lat spread. You can't compare him to the likes of Big Ramy, to the likes of Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates, or Lee Haney. However, look at the level of definition William Bonac achieved this year. Awesome definition, awesome separation. He's cut. He's just like, he's really awesome. The crisp look he has this year. This guy really and successfully managed to combine between the huge physique and the aesthetic physique in a very good way, in a perfect way. Look at the chest, the striations, the definition, the lower chest, the lines of the lower chest and how they connect with the lats and the midsection. Look at his shoulders, look at his arms, look at the size of his biceps, triceps, and forearms. I mean, Cedric looks like an amateur when it comes to the arm section, really. Look at Cedric arms in comparison to those of Bonac. Look at that. Look at the forearms. I mean, William Bonac's forearms are double the size of those of Cedric. Can you believe that? Look at the biceps and the triceps. The size of Bonac's arms are almost double the size of those of Cedric McMillan. Look at the size of the wheels. Look at the size of the wheels. I mean, like, William Bonac dwarfs, literally dwarfs Cedric McMillan when it comes to the size, when it comes to the separation, when it comes to the definition. Look at the calves of William Bonac, incredible calves. Definitely another pose definitely goes to William Bonac over Cedric McMillan. There is no comparison whatsoever. The only thing we can argue about is that Cedric definitely is wider when it comes to his lat spread, but that's all about it. That's all about it. I mean, the definition, the separation, the crisp look, even the aesthetics, the size, even the size of the muscular areas, all go to William Bonac over Cedric McMillan. Again, check out the size of his arms. Check out the size of his arms, of William Bonac arms, wheels. Granted, his chest is not as wide as that of Cedric, yet it's complete, it is striated, and very well defined. Awesome achievement for Mr. William Bonac. Let's move on to see the side chest pose. Okay, now, do you notice the gyno in Cedric McMillan's chest? You see the gyno? There is gyno. There is a symptom of gyno around his nipple. Do you see that? It's clear. You see? So in this pose, we can see that Cedric McMillan's physique is kind of watery. He retains water. There is no high level of definition or separation whatsoever in his physique this year, 2018 Arnold Classic. Look at the chest. I was talking about the striations just a minute ago or 2 minutes ago when he hit the front lat spread pose, but we don't see any of these striations in this pose. The striations should actually be presented in this. I mean, the striations of the chest should be shown in this pose, but he fails to do that. No striations whatsoever. He retains water. Obviously, he retains water. All in all, it's just like, okay, there's nothing special about this pose when it comes to Cedric. Yes, granted, his shoulders look great. His arms look good as well. The separation is there between the biceps and the triceps, but the chest doesn't look okay to me, especially with this gyno, and no striations whatsoever. The wheels are fine, the thighs sweep well, and there is the separation between the outer quads and the hamstrings, and the glutes look fine in this pose, but in comparison to those of Bonac, no chance whatsoever. Mr. Bonac, on the other hand, has a great side chest pose. A great side chest pose. Look at the shoulders. Look at those shoulders. The explosive, rounded shoulders. The bubble-shaped muscles coming at you. Look at the arms. Look at the arms. The peak in his biceps. The triceps. The explosive forearms. And as I said in my previous video, this guy has great genetics in his forearms. Look at the chest. Now we come to the chest because it is the side chest, right? So look at the chest. Look how complete, rounded, and highly striated his chest is. Look at the striations out there and compare them to that compare his chest to that of Cedric McMillan. Granted, Cedric's chest is bigger, maybe wider when he hits other poses. He looks wider, but when it comes to the definition, no question, no argument, hands down, William Bonac destroys him. Nothing actually to compare. No striations, no definition when it comes to Cedric's chest. Look at Bonac's chest. Man, he dwarfs Cedric in this pose, and he definitely doesn't have any gyno whatsoever, unlike Cedric, who has some gyno. They both have good midsection, as both do not suffer. As I can see from this shot, they do not have any symptoms of bubble gut. The wheels actually of William Bonac are awesome. Look at the glutes, the separation between the outer quads and the hamstrings. They sweep perfectly. Look at his calves. His calves look awesome, explosive, and actually more extended than those of Cedric McMillan. Let's move on to the side triceps pose. Okay, Cedric always had actually great triceps. In this pose, the triceps look really awesome. The horseshoe shape of the triceps look really awesome. It perfectly connects with the biceps. I'm talking about Cedric now. His shoulders look great. We can see the striations and the definition in his shoulders in this pose. His chest looks good in this pose actually, and the lower chest perfectly connects with his midsection. However, the gyno is still there. You see the gyno is clear. Cedric had gyno in 2018 Arnold Classic, and it's no secret. We can see that clearly here. The midsection is fine. I don't think he has bubble gut. No, there is no bubble gut or bloated stomach, but he retains water. As I said, Cedric has always been having troubles with water retention. He retains water in his body, and he cannot get rid or eliminates water before competitions. He can't reach that ultimate level of definition, separation, and crisp look due to the fact that he retains water. So I think that there is water in his midsection, but he doesn't have any bubble gut. His wheels are fine, the glutes are fine. like, yeah, they sweep well. There is the separation between the outer quads and the hamstrings, and his calves look okay, but there is nothing special about this look when it comes to Cedric, except his triceps. His triceps look really great. When we come to Mr. Bonac, yes, awesome pose for Mr. Bonac. Look at the huge triceps. Look how huge his triceps are, and look at the overall size of his arms in general. Look how huge his triceps in specific, and the overall size of his arms. Look at the peak in his biceps, even in this pose. Even this pose is not supposed to be like for the biceps, but even in this pose you can see how great, how developed, and how how accomplished his biceps are. Great biceps, great arms package for Mr. William Bonac. Look at the forearms, the chest, the rounded, the complete chest, the great midsection, the separation, the highly detailed, no symptoms of bubble gut whatsoever. Look at his wheels. His wheels are more huge than those of Cedric. They sweep perfectly. The separation is there between the outer quads and the hamstrings, and definitely the calves look really explosive and way more impressive than those of Cedric McMillan. Now we continue with the side triceps, and this is from another shot. Sorry, you can see how great Cedric McMillan's triceps are. They really look great, and as I've just said, Cedric always had great triceps. His triceps are complete, and the horseshoe shape is there. But as I've just said, all in all, this pose also goes to Mr. William Bonac, due to the fact that overall he is way more defined, way more separated, way more crisp than Cedric, who retains water in his physique, unfortunately, this year on that 2018 Arnold Classic stage. Let's move on now to the back shots, to the rear double biceps or the back double biceps. We start with Cedric. His arms do not look good actually from this pose. You see that the biceps look like they are melted. As I've just said, he doesn't have this peak, the peak in the biceps other bodybuilders have, and it shows here in this pose. His biceps look like melted. His shoulders, granted, his shoulders are impressive, and they actually look great in other shots with all the striations they have, especially in the side triceps shot, as we have just seen. So the shoulders look like good in this pose. They look impressive, but his arms are not on the same level, especially his left arm, the left biceps look like really melted in this pose, and it doesn't show at all. His back is cool. Cedric always had great back, always. I mean, probably even this year on the 2018 Arnold Classic stage, his back doesn't look as good as it was in the 2017 Arnold Classic, or even the 2015 Arnold Classic Brazil against Big Ramy. But still, his back has always been a powerful point to be added to his, or to be reckoned with. His back looks awesome, especially his lower back. His traps look cool. They are complete. They are highly defined and striated and very well extended in his back. His upper back, I mean the lats, are so well defined, and his rear shoulders perfectly connect with his lats. So yeah, overall his back is impressive, but his arms actually, in a way or another, the back double biceps, his arms or his biceps actually distort the overall look of his back.
In this pose, we can see that his wheels or his lower section lacks the definition or the separation or the cut William Bonac has, especially his glutes. His glutes look like amateur in comparison to those of William Bonac. Sorry, sad but true. His glutes look like amateur in comparison to those of William Bonac. His wheels are huge. Well, yes, the separation is there when it comes to the hamstrings, but definitely not as impressive as those of William Bonac. As for Mr. Bonac in this pose, he looks great. He looks great. Granted, not as wide as that of Cedric, because as I've just said, his structure doesn't allow him to get wider or bigger. This is something we can't blame him for. So he is not as wide as Cedric, yet he is way more defined, way more cut, way more separated. Look at his shoulders. Look at his arms, look at the peak in his biceps, look at his traps. His traps look awesome. They look like a beetle's antenna. They are highly striated, highly defined, very well extended in his back. His rear shoulders perfectly connect with his lats, and his lower back looks okay. But I think Mr. Bonac can work more on showing more definition in his lower back. His glutes look awesome. As I said in my previous video, Bonac versus Dexter Jackson, his glutes are awesome, very huge, very separated, very cut, and definitely better than those of Cedric. His wheels are huge, and his hamstrings are awesome. The separation and the definition he shows in his hamstrings is really impressive. He's better than Dexter Jackson and definitely better than Cedric McMillan in this shot. His calves as well, there is no question about his calves, way more impressive and developed than those of Cedric McMillan. Now we come to the rear or the back lat spread. The back lat spread. Actually, in this pose, I have to say that Cedric actually looks like he's better than William Bonac when it comes to this pose. And as I said in my previous video and in this video, the back is not one of Bonac's powerful points or factors, especially when it comes to this pose, the back lat spread. When he hits this pose, he can't show details anymore. I mean, he can't show the details he can show when he hits the, for example, the back double biceps. There are a lot of details and a lot of lines in his back when he hits the back double biceps, but once he just hits the lat spread, you feel like all the lines just vanish, they disappear. You can't see any details whatsoever. So in this pose we can see that Cedric back is way more detailed than that of Bonac. He's definitely wider than Bonac. His traps look like more detailed, more striations, more lines we can see. So in general, I think William Bonac should work more on his back, probably showing more details if he can't work anymore on the width because his structure doesn't allow him. So maybe he can work more on showing some details, some cuts in his back. Their shoulders are great. Both their shoulders are great. However, I can see from this pose that Cedric rear shoulders connect perfectly with his lats and showing pumps there that unfortunately William Bonac lacks in this pose. When it comes to the lower section, as I've just said, William Bonac destroys Cedric McMillan when it comes to the glutes, when it comes to the hamstrings. Look at that. Look at the hamstrings and the glutes of William Bonac. No comparison whatsoever. He destroys Cedric when it comes to the separation, to the definition, and to the crisp look. Bonac's hamstrings look really awesome, and as well as his calves as well. Of course, his calves are way more impressive, way more developed than those of Cedric. But in general, in this pose, if we want to talk about the lats, but of course we can't just talk about the lats and forget about the lower section. If we want to talk about the width and the definition of the lats in this pose in specific, from this shot, then I would say Cedric would take this shot. But when we go to the lower section, I mean, there's no comparison. William Bonac destroys him when it comes to the glutes, when it comes to the wheel size, to the quad size, to the leg size, when it comes to the hamstring, when it comes to the calves. Just Bonac is on another level. Bonac is on another level. But when it comes to the lat spread pose, to the width and the definition, the lines in this pose, I would say, I mean, like from this shot, I see that Cedric looks quite good, right? But that's just my opinion. You may disagree anyway. Let's move on to see the abs and thighs. I am not a huge fan of their abs and thighs pose. Both look okay, but I mean, like, look at Cedric. He definitely retains water in his physique. He doesn't look like he doesn't look highly detailed or crisp or separated, especially in his upper department. The chest looks watery here, granted complete and big and wide, but watery. He doesn't have any separations whatsoever. You don't see any details. You don't see that cut physique that William Bonac has next to him. I mean, look at the abs, for God's sake. The abs look really horrible. I'm sorry, but I don't like Cedric McMillan's abs at all. They look distorted and I don't know, one of you guys, one of the fans once wanted me to compare Cedric McMillan to Flex Wheeler in 1993 when he finished second to Dorian Yates, and it wasn't even funny, you know? It wasn't even funny. Flex Wheeler destroyed Cedric McMillan in every single pose. In every single pose. It's not funny. It's not even funny, especially when it comes to the aesthetics. I mean, look at that. I mean, Cedric abs look really horrible this year. And as for the wheels, yeah, his wheels are huge, complete. He shows separation, he shows definition, but in general, I'm sorry, I'm not impressed with this pose when it comes to Cedric. There's nothing special about it. On the other hand, Mr. William Bonac, look at the striations in William Bonac's chest and shoulders. Look at the striations there. Look at the chest. Granted, he is not as wide as Dexter. He's not as wide as Dexter, nor as wide as Cedric, yet his chest is complete, rounded, and highly striated. Look at the arms. God, look at the arms, the biceps, the peak in the biceps, the triceps, the explosive forearms. His lats are not as wide as those of Cedric, yet perfectly connect with his midsection. He retains, obviously he retains water in his midsection. Bonac needs to work more on showing more cuts to eliminate water, work on the water retention in his midsection. I think he has all the potential to show great abs, but he needs to work more on that. His wheels are mind-blowing, simply mind-blowing. Very impressive, very huge, very complete, incredibly separated, striated, highly defined. Definitely destroys Cedric McMillan. He destroys Cedric McMillan when it comes to the wheels. Incredible wheels. This guy has huge wheels, really perfect wheels. Props for him for achieving this level. And of course, his calves are way more pumped and way more impressive than those of Cedric. Definitely this pose goes to William Bonac. He destroys Cedric McMillan when it comes to the wheels. Even in the midsection, I think that his midsection is better than that of Cedric. Granted, both of them do not have any troubles with the bubble gut, but the overall physique, Notice the definition, the crisp look, and the highly detailed look of William Bonac. He destroys Cedric when it comes to definition, to separation, and to the high level of crisp look he achieved this year on the 2018 Arnold Classic stage. Props for Mr. William Bonac for this great achievement. Now we move on to the most muscular pose. I am not a fan of Cedric McMillan most muscular pose. Granted, his traps are okay, but nothing special about them. His shoulders are huge in this pose, so is his chest. But again, he doesn't have this crisp look that William Bonac has. His arms are okay. His midsection looks horrible in this pose. Horrible in this pose. His wheels are fine, but there's nothing special. He lacks the definition, he lacks the crisp look, he retains water, and he needs to work on that. But in my opinion, I think, and this is my opinion only, with all due respect to Cedric McMillan, I am not taking anything away from him, but with all due respect, I think he's done. He doesn't have anything more to present for bodybuilding, nothing more to present. He has achieved the best he could achieve, and he's done. He is not going to be any better in future competitions, but that's only my opinion, okay? You may disagree. We have Mr. William Bonac in this great pose. Look at that. Look at the aesthetics. Look at the size of the muscular areas for Mr. William Bonac. Look at the shoulders. Look at the chest, the striations he has in his chest, in his shoulder. Look at the arms. Look at the size of the arms, the triceps, the peak in the biceps. Oh my God, look at the right biceps, the peak in his right biceps, the explosive forearms. The midsection is okay. He can show separation, he can show cuts, but he needs to work more on the water in his midsection. He definitely can show more cuts, more separation, and he can definitely achieve a greater level of definition in his midsection, because I believe he has all the potential to do that. But all in all, his upper physique in this pose, his upper section looks awesome. Especially his chest, shoulders, and arms. The chest is complete, rounded, striated. The shoulders are explosive, rounded. The bubble-shaped muscles, the arms, oh my God, the huge arms, the forearms, awesome. However, the midsection needs more cuts, more separation, and it will be like perfect. He needs to work more on water retention. Look at the wheels. The wheels, he destroys Cedric McMillan when it comes to the wheels, to the size, to the separation, to the definition. Just name it. It's not even funny. Name it. Anything goes to William Bonac when it comes to the wheels. His wheels are awesome, and anybody argues about that is ignorant, knows nothing about bodybuilding. William Bonac has great wheels, incredible wheels. When it comes to the size, when it comes to the separation, when it comes to the definition, to the crisp look, to the striations he has in his quads, awesome, just really awesome, great achievement. Congratulations for William Bonac. Props for him for this great achievement. Really incredible wheels development this guy has. Look at his calves. His calves are pumped. Impressive, mind-blowing, way more impressive than those of Cedric McMillan. Definitely he has great genetics in his calves and in his forearms as well. So William Bonac defeats Cedric McMillan in almost every single pose, and it's not even funny actually. And the point is that his overall physique is way more defined, way more separated, way more cut, and has this incredible crisp look with all these striations, with all these lines he has in his physique, especially his chest, his rounded, full, and striated chest, and his incredible wheels development. His arms also are a force to be reckoned with against any bodybuilder, even Phil Heath himself. And in my next video, I am going to compare William Bonac from 2018 Arnold Classic to Phil Heath from 2017 Mr. Olympia. So stay tuned, please. Don't forget to subscribe, to share, and to like, and let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and have a nice one.